Cordisco's Corner Store is hosting its 5th annual chess championship. The Broome County Chess Championship Francis Cordisco Memorial got started over the weekend. Organizer John Cordisco says it's an opportunity for chess fans, both experts and newcomers, to test their level of skill. There are 2 sections depending on level of play, and both have cash prizes for the top 3 winners.
We draw some really good players. There's some pretty good players in this county, and it's a very high quality chess compared to the number of people in the area. It's a great tournament, and I encourage people to come down and just to watch if they want.
The second and final round is this Sunday from 10 until 4, and it takes place at Cordisco's Corner Store at 308 Shenango Street in Binghamton.
Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. This is another game from my 5th annual Broome County Championship Francis Cordisco Memorial. It's for a small area like this, we've got some pretty good quality players. This is from round 6 between Ed Kelley, who's rated over 2100, former Broome County champion, and David Goguen, rated just short of 2100, another former Broome County champion. An interesting game. Is going to be a symmetrical English, but the first move is going to be the first surprise. Ed goes A3. Knight. We'll go through the opening fairly quick here. It's just in English. No point in going into all kinds of detail. When you go D6 there, you see the opening here for the light squared bishop. And this pawn is guarding the E5 square, so that's a pretty good setup so far for black. D3, and basically white has the same setup, just the opposite color bishop. Bishop D7, bishop A5. I think Dave was trying to get some space here. Stop the B pawn from moving up and kind of freezing it on that side of the board, I think. Rook to B1, E6. Probably to stop the knight intrusion here in the future. This light squared bishop is looking pretty tough right there. Same with black, dark squared bishop on G7. Knight to B5. That's a good spot for that knight. It's threatening the E6 pawn. And that's going to be a pain behind to defend. So he goes queen there, queen C1. I kind of do that myself sometimes. To try to get rid of the feet and kettled bishop of my opponent, and lighten the squares around his king would be a little weaker without that bishop. Rook, bishop, and E5. Now, that move's okay. It's the computer move. E5 or D5. It's going back and forth now. I've got my Fritz 13 off screen. I kind of like D5 a little better. Only reason why is the D pawn isn't isolated. Bishop. Now that's a very annoying pin on that knight, to be honest with you. Rook D1. Knight to D4. Knight C3. Now we're on move 16 now, and this is kind of a sign of a couple of good players. Is the fact that the points difference is very small. It's less than a quarter of a pawn advantage for white. And that's a sign of a couple of good players when you don't see big swings in the evaluation. Bishop, knight takes, bishop takes, king takes. Interesting enough, though, the computer liked knight to F5. And then after knight to F5, G takes and king takes. And I kind of like that a little bit for white. That's quite an advantage. That king side of blacks is pretty open now, even though there's pawns, a couple pawns on the F file. I like that a lot better for white. But white decided to play king takes, C takes, knight to D5. That's a really, really good knight. There's no pawns to chase him off on either side. And he's on a light square and there's a dark squared bishop. So once you get rid of that, knight, you're all set, and that's exactly what white does. Bishop takes. Now that knight is in perfect spot. Couldn't think of a better spot on the board for that knight. Queen to d2. Bishop d8. a4. I think Ed wants to stop the advance of black's b-pawn now. Just the same thing that black tried to do earlier with white now has been reversed. King to g7. I think that's not much to get off the back rank. I think later down the road, black doesn't want some annoying checks with that knight at a bad moment. Excuse me. e3. Pawn takes, queen takes. It's less than a point advantage for white, even though black's is what I call the minor exchange. He has a bishop for a knight. Queen to d7. With b3. Now these guys are some of the best players in Broome County. We're located in Binghamton, New York, which is in Broome County in upstate New York, just south of Syracuse, above the Pennsylvania border. b6, d4, f6.
Chess is a game of concentration and skill. Some may consider chess old-fashioned, but it's alive and well in Broome County this weekend. Today was the 5th annual Broome County Chess Tournament in Binghamton. Players from across the area stared at their pieces, calculating the right move. The tournament's organizer calls today's turnout decent, but he says he misses the days when the competition was full.
But for sit-down tournaments like this, it's hurt the numbers a little bit because people can play online, but it's still the most popular game in the world, still.
The youngest player in the tournament was Raymond Wong. He's an 11-year-old from Ithaca. He isn't ranked yet, but his competitors say he's one of the best in the area and a player to watch in the coming year.
After f6, I think he's trying to reinforce the e5 pawn, but that d6 pawn, I just don't care for it. Rook b to d1, queen f7, and h4. White's trying to open up black's king side, get at the white king. That knight's in a really good spot. That queen's getting ready to move in as well. It's about just under a 2-point advantage now for white. White's come a long ways in a short time. Bishop e7. If he had gone h5 instead for black, then after f4, bishop c7, queen f3. I like that a little better for black. Not a ton better, but a little. f4 for white, it's just trying to open up the whole thing, and of course you see why you can't take, because queen takes, winning the piece. Rook to guard that piece. F takes, D takes, D takes, bishop c5, hitting the queen. If black had played f takes after knight takes b6, e4, and it's not very good news for black, I'm afraid. After bishop c5, e6. Now that pawn is just huge right now. Queen f8. You can kind of see this coming. This is really hard for black at this point. Queen to f3, just putting more pressure on. Bishop to block the pawn and guard the f6 pawn. h5, just trying to open it up, and he has to go g5. If he takes, he's doomed. And that weakens his position. Now the f pawn is backward for black. Queen to f5, beautiful place for that queen. Rook to b7, rook to f1, rook to d8. Computer suggestions said king to h8 to get a lot of line of fire, but I don't think it's really going to matter. h6 check. King to h8. Those of you who are wondering if king had taken instead, rook to h1, and that's it. That's mate. Knight takes, rook takes, rook takes, queen takes, rook to f1, king over. You can see it's just a mop up now. Rook takes, rook e7, and then king to f3, and this is where black threw in the towel. This game, was enough points for Ed Kelley to be the returning Broome County champion. So congratulations to Ed Kelley on winning the Broome County Championship. He's a long-time expert here in Binghamton. Been above 2,000 rating points for, gosh, for many, many, many years. So congratulations, Ed. Well deserved. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Madness, residents from all over the state and even Pennsylvania came out today for a different type of competition. Cordisco's Corner Store hosted its 5th annual Broome County Francis Cordisco Memorial Chess Tournament. Dozens of people of all ages participated in the all-day tournament. Owner John Cordisco says while chess is a very different type of tournament, it still holds exciting outcomes.
And it's great. Chess is one of those games where you can have an 8-year-old play an 80-year-old. And it happened one year where the 8-year-old actually beat the 80-year-old. And it's one of the few sports where age in physical size has absolutely zero to do with your ability.
Broome County Executive Debbie Preston and City of Binghamton Mayor Rich David made the ceremonial first moves. The competition will continue next Sunday, and anyone interested in joining can visit uschess.org.